Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 256 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and a two-time author. Our second book is called From Letters to Leaders, Redefining New Member Education and Leveraging Belonging to Eliminate Hazing. Go and pick up that book today on Amazon. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, I know that we spend a ton of time on this podcast talking about colleges. The reality is that you can be just as successful or more successful learning a trade. So understand that there are many options out there for you. There's not just one road to success. There are many different roads to success. And our next guest is going to tell you all about it. His name is Charles A. Chadwick Jr., and he is so unique. He cut his college expenses by 40%, paid for 2 college degrees. He is now debt-free. Guess what? He is more successful with the set of skills that he learned for free in the trade industry. He shows why learning a trade is beneficial to you. He teaches people how they can financially survive and thrive in challenging economic times. Charles believes that today's generation needs to adopt a duality mentality for the economy where they can be marketable even during a pandemic. Welcome to the show, Charles.
Man, that's Michael. That's a big introduction, but it's big news. College and trade.
It is big news. Not enough people are talking about it. That's why I'm so pumped up to talk to you.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped up as well. It's a message that we've forgotten, and to throw a little quote out there: has society forgotten the knowledge that existed before college, and that was the trade industry?
Wow, that's powerful stuff. I think we need to do a deep dive on this, especially on this show, especially where we're always talking about colleges. There are multiple options out there. Now, I know you're a former college student and you experienced the challenge of paying for your own college education alone without any external financial assistance. So I'm wondering, what college did you choose and why did you feel compelled to go there?
Okay. I'm a North Carolina native, so I grew up in a little town called Jacksonville, North Carolina. I started out at my community college, and when I finished that, I wanted to transfer to a university. But it's no secret, I played basketball in high school, and a lot of people might not know this, but the only reason I chose that university is because they allowed me to try out for the basketball team, even though I had graduated 2 years later. The name of that college is very beautiful. It's in the mountains of North Carolina, and it's called Lees-McRae College. If you're familiar with Appalachian State, they beat Michigan a couple years. That same college is about 30 minutes down the road, but I went to a little school called Lees-McRae College in Benrell, but I only went because they allowed me to try out for the basketball team. I didn't make the cut, but I got to be their video guy.
That's very cool, man. I love that story. And you know what? People choose colleges for all kinds of reasons. It could be, that they got a scholarship. It could be that it was close to home. For you, hey, give me a shot at the basketball team. If I try out, then you got me. And so I love that story. I think that's a fantastic story. And I'm glad that you had the opportunity to hang out with those guys and do some video work because you were connected to the team, right?
Oh yeah, and that video work allowed me to open up a small film business later on. So it's always about networking.
You see, you never know how things are going to play out for you. Here you are thinking you're going to try out for the basketball team. Now you get all this video experience, and now you've got that knowledge that you can use to build your empire going forward. People,
Exactly.
You just don't know how things are going to work out. You just have to be open to what the world is throwing your way.
Exactly.
So I love that. And you cut down your college expenses, your college costs by thousands of dollars. So that amounted to about 40% of your college expenditures, allowing you to successfully graduate. So share with our audience some of the strategies that you used to cut down your debt.
Okay, it's very simple. It's 2 steps, and it's another conversation that people will not have. Why do people not start off at community college? And I'm speaking to those, if you got the scholarships, if you got the grants, cool. But if you're taking out, let's just say $10,000 a year, that's 20,000 already, and you don't have a degree. Community college, I think with 10,000, you should be able to walk away, you know, with at least an associate's, depending if you're staying in state or out of state. That was a big proportion. And I love math. When my grandmother was in school, they called it arithmetic. But I wonder, in United States, do we not understand like the math? 2 + 2 is 4. So if 2 years, literally, of a community college is cheaper than a university, why do people still start off at the university? And I understand it's passion, and they say, oh, they don't want to miss out on the experience. But Michael, this is what I found out about experience. When it comes to college, it is just an experience. It's not a tangible asset. College is an intangible asset. When we have a car loan, you forgive the car loan, you got to give up the car if you can't make the payments. But college, as I was taught in high school, education is priceless. And I guess we are literally seeing it's priceless. So if finance is not an issue, I can understand why people go there. But if you're really wanting to cut costs and you don't want to pay back big time student debt loans, as we see today, people are begging the government to forgive them. Don't overlook your local community college. Those credits will transfer 9 out of 10 times. Some of the times they don't, but just look at 2 years that you're saving. You're not paying a room and board fee. You're not paying a meal plan. You might come out better with a community college first. So that was one of the bigger reasons why I cut costs. And then when you're on campus, I talk about this in my book, just the meal plan. When we grocery shop every day in our lives, do you really shop a year's worth of groceries all at once? No, you might shop for a month or 2 weeks worth of groceries. So that's what I teach in the book. And with these meal plans, you don't eat the 3 meals religiously the whole both semesters. So grocery shop as you normally would grocery shop and just apply that to the meal plan. Instead of getting 3 meals every single day, maybe drop it down to 2 meals a day, or use cash and just cook. Also learning how to cook. I throw that in the book. So there's so many ways to cut costs. And again, my book is not about saving money. It's just about cutting costs. My parents or me, I didn't save a dime, but yet I finished college by just cutting costs using my mind.
I love that, Charles. That's really, really helpful. I love every bit of it. And you know what? I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And here in Tennessee, they have what's called the Tennessee Promise Program. And what's great about this program is that any student in the entire state of Tennessee can go for free, get their associate's degree for free. And then all of those credits transfer towards your bachelor's degree. So there's actually 4-year institutions out there, Cumberland University, where I got my master's degree. They're a 4-year institution. You can go get your associate's degree there for free, knock out 2 years worth of gen ed courses,
Exactly.
and then apply all those courses towards your bachelor's degree. And guess what? You only have 2 years of college to pay for instead of 4.
Exactly. And those 2 years, in my opinion, will be cheaper because you're avoiding 2 big plans, the meal plan and the room and board fee. And on one more note about that community college, a lot of people overlook is just you don't have to pay the money up front. Some colleges allow you to pay each semester, and that's what I did. I delivered pizzas and paid on that balance. And at the end of the semester, I would pay it all.
Good for you. Working during college, man, you are my hero. I love hearing all that stuff. I think that's fantastic. You authored 2 books, right? So you got Chadwick's College Checklist, 2 Steps with Tips on How to Cut College Costs. You also have Chadwick's Cultivated Circumstances, Experience is Sometimes Priceless, which aims to encourage people to not compromise on their education or overlook the importance of learning a trade. Now, during the pandemic, you were able to keep working since you were deemed as essentially an essential worker in construction. So talk to our audience about the importance of learning a trade.
Okay. Just looking at the pandemic, I self-examined myself and I said, why am I still working? Why am I still here at work? And it's because construction. We literally saw the world shut down for a brief period, depending where you was at, a week or 30 days till we could figure it out. Guess what didn't stop? People toilets overflowing, people breakers going out, electrical receptacles, people air conditioners breaking. If this pandemic didn't show us what your value is, I don't know what else can. So when you learn a trade, check this out. You're going to get a lifetime worth of earning skills. Unfortunately, when it comes to college, not for everybody, but for a majority of what I've seen, when you walk away from college, you're walking away sometimes with a lifetime worth of debt and bills. So that's the thing with the trade industry. It don't matter what's going on. You know, the power could go out in the whole United States. And guess what? We're going to need the electrical, the engineers, the plumbers to engineer something new for us that doesn't require power. So I know, and I don't like politics, but we know what the theme is: build back a better of America. I don't believe we can just do it with degrees. We are going to have to use the trade industry to do that.
No question, we need the trade industry. I mean, you can want to build as many houses as you want, but guess what? Without plumbing, without water coming to that house, I mean, you're sunk. We can't even, move in. You know what I'm saying? It's
Exactly.
critical. It is absolutely critical. Now, today, there's a push today for this $15 per hour minimum wage. In your opinion, do you think that that's a good idea to have a $15 minimum wage, or a bad idea to have that kind of a livable wage?
In theory, it sounds good, but in a factual base, who can define what a livable wage is? And I'm gonna quote economist Milton Friedman. He said, the thing about freedom is that you really got to understand, what freedom is in itself. And I think it sounds good, but we live in America, and I've traveled internationally. I can honestly say that a person is free to do or make whatever amount money they want to make, whether it's legally or illegally here in the United States compared to other countries. So my answer, I really don't have an answer, but through my research, I have seen from the American Economic Association, they have said time and time after studies, they show that when they push the minimum wage up, it actually cut the unskilled workers down. And the best example I could give, Michael, we're on the food podcast with you. Me and you own a restaurant, we're doing well, and then Big Brother comes in, government, aka government, hey, you got to pay every single worker $15 an hour. I'm going to go to you and be like, Michael, this is our operational costs. We have everybody on full-time benefits, but if we got to pay everybody $15, we're going to have to maybe cut some people or bring everybody down to part-time. Our costs went up with supply and demand, because if it's hurting us, it's going to hurt everybody else. So when it comes to this $15 hours a wage, I've seen it with my own eyes. In North Carolina, many years ago, I saw where it went from $5.15, I think, to $6.25 or $7.25. I literally saw everybody else prices go up. So when it comes to a raise, it looks good on paper, but sometimes you really have to just, my advice would be, do everything you can for yourself. And if you get the $15 push, cool. But if you don't, you should be willing to maximize your own opportunity and never put a limit on what you can make on yourself.
It's really interesting. I'm happy that I got a chance to hear kind of your thoughts on that. I think that's really kind of fascinating. In our country, I don't have to tell you, everyone kind of automatically assumes that college is the only answer. And so, how do you think today's young people, Gen Z, how should they decide which is a better route for them? Should they go to a trade school or should they go to college? How can you help them make that decision?
I can just say, just look at me. Learning the trade before college, my dad had a plumbing business and I learned it from him. Everything that I learned is still here. It's still here in my mind. When I went to college, I started networking. I went to a church, and it's not even about the church, but it's about the networking. The pastor was redoing the plumbing in his house and he hired me to do it. And I was able to make money. And then he told his friends, and then they start hiring me to do side work. So on the weekends from college, I was still doing plumbing and construction. So my advice to a young person is, learn every single thing that you can, because like the book behind me, the yellow book, experience is priceless. It doesn't cost to learn a trade, but when you go to school, you're actually paying for an experience. Maybe you are getting knowledge, but with a trade, your first day on a job on a trade, you don't have any skills. And guess what? You're still going to get paid on the first day. So I would encourage parents, if you have a child right now, put them in the trades now. And when they go to college, at least they'll have two options instead of one option. And that's what I kind of saw. When I got to my college, I was working. People was looking at me like I was crazy. It's like, well, why aren't you studying? I said, I have to pay for college by myself. So for a young person, I would say learn everything you can, because experience is free and it is priceless.
Yeah, more options, the better. And so obviously you've made a living doing that. You're also a financial planner. I mean, what are some things that college students should be thinking about in terms of the major that they choose to be sure that they can pay back all of these debts after college?
Well, that's a very interesting question, as we see today. I know when I was in college, one guy I graduated with, he said, I have $100,000 in debt. And I was like, whoa. And he said that at graduation. He said, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to get a job with the FBI and they start out at 90,000. And I was like, okay. And I kind of asked him, I said, well, that's the gross, but taxes, you're probably going to drop down to 60,000. And then, your living expenses. So I think for a young person or parents, be realistic, when it comes to your major, do the research, see what the cost is, and understand that a loan does have to be paid back, and study the major. I know that healthcare is big during the pandemic, all these telehealth appointments. So if I was a young person, I would look at that, psychology, doctor, because you can work from home on that now. Nobody really goes to these offices anymore. And I think we are transitioning. This is the new normal now, even as me and you speak on Zoom. So I would say just do your homework and also understand finances, even taxes. If you make 100,000, depending on your state, how much is going to go to taxes? How much is going to go to federal? How much is going to go to state? How much is going to go to FICA? It's so many things. And Grant Cardone has said it best. If you live in America, he feels and believes people aren't getting the right information, because I believe it's true. As we look at the loan thing, as so many people act like they didn't understand that a loan has to be paid back. And nobody could have foreseen this pandemic. So for class of 2022, look at what the previous generation did. Did they bite more than they can chew? Because nobody foreseen this pandemic coming. So I would say just live within your means. And again, what the trade industry could do, if you start out in trades first, you make decent money, you could pay for your college later. There's 80-year-old people graduating with degrees. You don't have to literally do it at 18. And by the way, Mike, I took a year off of high school before I even went to my community college. So you have time, and just understand finances. And I'll give you one little scenario, Michael. A lot of people get athletic scholarships where they don't have to pay anything. I knew a person where their son had a full scholarship ride, and his father wanted him to take out a loan to put in a CD account or a money market account. And he said, if you just do this for 4 years and never touch this money, when you graduate, pay back the loans and keep the interest on the money. And I thought that idea was interesting, especially in my community with minorities getting full scholarships. But it takes discipline. It would take discipline, but that's another way that you are making money off the system. So full-time scholarship athletes, look at maybe money market accounts and take out a loan and put in there and let it sit. And it could be there for you when you graduate. Understand finances is my advice.
Yeah, doing that research, I think, is so important, and picking the right major. I don't think people spend enough time thinking about what kind of a job am I going to be able to get with this degree at graduation, and can I pay back all my bills, yes or no, based on current demand. We need to have that conversation. And I think that was one of the things that my dad was really good at. He pulled out the local newspaper when we were deciding what major I was going to go into in college. And we looked through the help wanted section. He's like, here is all the jobs, this is how much they're paying. And so that should dictate where you're going to go in terms of major. And so I think having that conversation really forced me to think about beyond college. Am I going to realistically going to be able to pay back this loan or not?
Exactly. And one little thing I could throw in there, I have never been more passionate in my life till just right now. I only went to college because that's what I was told to do. I only learned the trade because my dad put it right in front of my face. So I know a lot of times when people choose major, they go at what they're passionate at. But maybe now you might want to look at what's going to stabilize you along the way. And then on your off time, work on your passion. So that's another way to look at it as well.
I like that a lot. That's really good. And you believe that travel is a prominent factor in your life experience, in your growth. Why do you think everyone should travel a little more?
It just gives you that much more perspective. It can show you how maybe ungrateful you are. I've traveled internationally, and I honestly didn't know how good it is in America. I know, we have our work to do. It's not perfect, but man, when I went to third world countries and saw the poverty level or saw the competition, if you're in a area or country where there's not much opportunity, you got to be just as better as the next person. So this person know Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, they know coding, they know how to security IT. You better be right up there with them because the competition is that much good. And me traveling internationally, it showed me one thing that's always been true, but I never saw it. Economics is international, and it's going to get closer. Michael, when I saw how many people were speaking English fluently in all the countries I've been to, I was like, if these people had the opportunity to just go to the United States like that, they would be able to outwork some people based on their experience, and they're hungry. Even a quick story for me, the books in the background, to publish a book, people might think it's expensive, but I use Fiverr. A guy from Africa designed the checklist book cover, and a woman from Macedonia designed the yellow book cover, all done through Fiverr. They made my ebook, paperback book, all my social media. I'm even subbing workout internationally now myself in graphic arts because it's cheaper.
Good for you. Yeah, that's a great tip. I love using Fiverr. There's some great people that I've worked with over the years that I keep coming back to because they're hungry and the work is outstanding.
And talk about that turnaround rate. When I try to call
gosh.
people in the United States, I can get to it a month. Fiverr, they get it done in a day. And I'm like, wow.
You go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, your job is done. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, and the quality is off the charts. So you know what? I think what you're seeing really is kind of a leveling of the playing field.
Yeah, it is.
And essentially, to borrow Thomas Friedman's analogy in his book, he says the world is flat. That's the name of his book, and it is because with things like Fiverr, hey, we can access anybody in the world here.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is really great stuff. And, we're going to learn so much. And I think we're going to change so much as a society because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, I want to get into your mind for a second. What lessons did you learn from this time in history living through the pandemic?
What I learned is that life is short. Do the things you want to do and seek a happy life. Far as on the job side, corporate America, at the end of the day, it's always been true. Most corporations are going to chase profit versus your safety. I mean, we didn't know, is this person positive? I really saw it with my own eyes that start organizations or try to be a part of companies or businesses or create your own where you're really have control of, what's going on. A lot of people, we really saw how important money was when you were faced with the pandemic. It is something, but it's not everything. So for me, I just learned to value my time, cherish the loved ones that's in your life, and just to understand that this is the best time ever to be alive, believe it or not, because the world seeks great people to step up and create new ideas and things. And like we were talking earlier, this stay home, I'm on Zoom with you now. Years ago, I might have had to catch a plane and go where you at, but this is the new wave. And I think this has created a interesting time period. And I think now is the best time to go for your dream job. That's what I learned through the pandemic as well. Go for your dream job because the tools are here. We have the internet, we have Zoom. There's so many podcasts where people are explaining things. Whatever you desire, it's on YouTube or it's on a podcast. So now is the best time to go for that dream job, especially when the qualifications are being exempt, because so many companies want people to come back to work. So if they needed 4 criteria, maybe companies are doing away with degree requirements now. Come in, we'll train you. So now is the best time, in my opinion, to go for your dream job. That's what I did learn through the pandemic. And that's what inspired me to write these 2 books. I just saw the struggle with the student loans and no option. So I said, hey, let me explain what trades has done for me. So through the pandemic, I've learned how to reach out to more people.
I love it. And I completely agree with you. I think the pandemic forces us to look at our lives, our careers from a different lens. And there's going to be all kinds of new companies that are going to come out of this pandemic that never existed before. Just like you said, Zoom is a great example. Before the pandemic, people were like, whatever.
Yep.
But then as soon as the pandemic hit, this became a critical company and a critical tool that we can't live without. Well, guess what? There's a whole bunch of other ideas that now suddenly we can't live without that we didn't know about before the pandemic. So this is a great time. And I think there's all kinds of products and services and companies that come out of it that never would have happened had the pandemic not been here.
Yep. And I will encourage college students too. If you're struggling with the student loan debt, write a book about it. It'd probably be a New York bestseller. Whatever experience you have, write about it.
Yeah, I'm with you so much. Now is a great time to do all of that stuff. So, listen, if our college student listeners, if they want to connect with you, if they want to buy your books, they want to bring you in to speak on their college campus, where should they go to connect with you?
You can just reach me on social media. I got it behind me, but it's Facebook and Instagram, and you're going to like my follow sign. Follow me at Reduce College Debt. Reduce College Debt. And if you want to learn more about me, just check out my website, www.chadwicks, CHADWICKS, and then experiences with a S, Chadwick's Experience. And I talk about trades and I talk about the college, how I cut my costs. And I always give free tips from the book on the website.
I love that.
And just as a promotion too, I've given away $1,700 in prizes. I give away $100 a month if you tag us with the picture paperback book at Reduce College Debt. I'm all about helping out college students because the next generation, y'all are the future. I know I may look young, but I'll be 38 this year, and I really care about the next generation because y'all are the future. You have more resources than I could have ever had going to school.
You look so young, man. I'm telling you, you look like you're 20 years old.
Oh yeah.
Well, good for you, man. You got good genes. I have the opposite. I look 20 years older than what I really am. Well, anyway, listen, man,
well, maybe it came from cutting that college cost and I wasn't stressed with paying that
there
debt.
You go. See, I was stressed with paying back my college loans. Don't make the mistake that I made. Go to @Reduce College Debt and learn how Charles did it. That's the way to make this happen. So listen, I know you were born and raised in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and we do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. You and I will agree on good food. So if I'm traveling in the Jacksonville area, where do you think I should go in order to get a great meal?
Okay. There's a place called Mike's Farms in Richlands, North Carolina. And it's a country style farmhouse. They have goats, horses, historical things. But the key thing is it's an all you can eat buffet. And I think they give you a roasted potluck pork, fried chicken, biscuits, homemade mac and cheese. They have a bakery shop there and it's just good. You can sit down, but it's called Mike's Farms in Richland, North Carolina, Duplin County. Very good family place, orientation, good to go, man. And any type of seafood will be fine on the East Coast of North Carolina. I love flounder personally. There's a little place called Belfort Seafood Center, and you can get whatever you want, your spots, your flounder, your whiting, and things like that.
I love it. I'm going to go and check out Mike's Farms. Easy for me to remember, so I'll definitely go and check that out. And you know what? I mean, all you can eat, man, oh man. And from the food that you're describing, I shouldn't be counting my calories, that's for sure, but I'm going to have a good meal.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
I love it. Charles, man, you are a lot of fun. I love that you're talking about this. I love that you're authentically you, because that is really what resonates with today's students. And I really hope that they learn something from your experiences, looking to check out trades, not just the colleges, and seeing what is the best route for them. Because there are, like I said in the beginning, there are so many roads to success. There's not just
Exactly.
one. So I'm glad that you're out there talking about it, because not enough people are talking about trades. And I think that they really, really should be. So thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you having me. And again, I just got motivated to speak out on it. When I was in high school, it was go to college, go to college, go. Somebody could have honestly had, my $1 million idea, but the teacher said, you can't do that now. You still have to go to college. But with Silicon Valley now, we know the truth now. Be yourself, as we talked about earlier, and you'll find success.
Yeah.
College is just a tool to get there.
Yeah, the truth is out there. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Silicon Valley, if you got a multi-million-dollar idea, let's start that right now. Use it. Don't put that on the back burner, because if you put that on the back burner, somebody else is going to take that and run with it. And then what? Now you got your college degree, but now somebody else has got your idea and is making millions of dollars off of your idea that you should have gone to market with, and capture market share as quickly as you possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
So I love what you're saying, man. I love your ideas. I think it's great. Go and pick up Charles' book. To all of our listeners, if you like what Charles is talking about, make sure that you like this on social media. Make sure that you share this with other college students, other people that are trying to find their path. And what can I say? We hope to see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're going to see you next time.